Now, why in the world should anyone study math beyond simple arithmetic? I mean, when was the last time you had to use the quadratic formula? Now, this is the kind of question my kids ask me on occasion, and I'm sure they're not alone in questioning the value of studying mathematics. It's a serious question and deserves a serious response. So here are 4 reasons I came up with to study mathematics beyond simple arithmetic, and they're all based on my real-world experience. Number 1, logical thinking, and this is something we definitely need more of in this world. When you study math, and I mean study it, not just memorize formulas and crap like some teachers teach it, but actually study math. Learn how to derive things, learn how to figure things out, learn how to get from point A to point Z by going through B, C, D, and E first, using multiple tools in your math toolbox to solve complex problems. Derive formulas. Think through and prove why certain things are actually true. You gain a level of logical thinking that's hard, if not impossible, to get otherwise. In lower math, that is calculation-based math, you're forced to come up with creative solutions to get you from here to there by going through multiple steps in between that you have to figure out. This is a great real-world skill. For example, solving a problem like this, where you have this shoebox, and you need to figure out what's the distance between this point here and the other point on the other opposite corner up there. Well, you can't just solve that easily, but you can write down what you're given, you can think it through, and you can derive things along the way like, hey, I don't know what these other things are, but I can get this thing right here, meaning this particular line that goes from this corner to this corner, right? I can use the Pythagorean theorem for that. So you get that side, hey, lo and behold, now you can get the other distance because that's just the Pythagorean theorem using this triangle. Being able to do that kind of reasoning is huge in life. You may not be able to solve every problem directly, but you can get part of the way there, and then stumble your way part of the way there, and then get a little bit further this way. And what if we try that? Hey, this. And next thing you know, you have this, and this, and then you can solve the thing. Solving problems is a good skill to have. Upper math, meaning proof-based math, revolves around 3 simple principles that I would say form the basis of all logical thinking. These are definitions, assumptions, and deductions. In math, we call them definitions, axioms, and theorems, but don't worry about that. If you can master the art of proving things by using definitions, assumptions, and deductions based on things you've already deduced, that's huge for making any kind of real-world argument. Any sound argument, that is. One based on logic and not just nonsense. It also helps you spot when someone else has faulty reasoning. For instance, when they assume something that you can't necessarily assume. Maybe they support a position using faulty reasoning. Or maybe they define something that makes something easier to prove. But that definition, it's not really the definition. By constantly improving your own reasoning skills, you can more easily see when others haven't. So you can see right through poor political arguments, get-rich-quick schemes, misleading statistics, bogus snake oil-style homeopathic remedies. A good foundation in math can help you build up the kind of thinking that keeps you from falling for anything that's based on shaky assumptions or bad definitions or faulty reasoning or anything else like that. So sharp, logical reasoning skills is a huge reason to study mathematics, unless you like having dumb opinions or like being taken advantage of, in which case, feel free to avoid mathematics. The second reason for studying mathematics is it builds tenacity, the ability to keep going in the face of adversity. As you probably know by now, when you study mathematics, you hit a lot of brick walls when trying to solve things, right? And you can't do like some other wishy-washy disciplines and just bullshit your way through it. You either solve the problem or you don't. There is no kinda halfway, that's good enough sort of thing. That doesn't cut it in math. And because you have to solve the thing, you learn how to dive in and not give up. People who take math seriously learn to read the problem. If they don't understand it, reread the problem as many times as needed until you understand it. If you still don't understand it, go seek clarification. Maybe there's a misprint. And if you still don't understand it, go watch a Khan Academy on it, because it's very likely that Sal is a much better teacher than your teacher. No offense. Then once you understand the problem, you go back and write things down. What do they give you? What do you know? What are things that can help? Maybe you can't solve the problem right away, but you can get to a middle step and then another step and then another step, and pretty soon you've solved the problem. People who study math solve the problem or die trying. They don't give up. They have tenacity, and this is a huge real-world skill. The third reason for studying math, it's all about the careers. After watching this video, not right now, but afterwards, go Google what the most in-demand careers are and what they will be in the future. I bet you more than half are in the STEM fields. That whole science, technology, engineering, mathematics thing. And those require at least a decent amount of mathematics. Even certain business majors require to take Calculus 1 and some statistics on top of that. And engineering majors require a lot more. But even non-engineering majors can benefit from someone with a strong sense of logical thinking and tenacity. Let's take nursing, for example. Would you like a nurse that doesn't have any tenacity? Let's imagine a nurse who's walking down her shift and sees that one of her patients pulled out their IV. Do you want them to go, "Oh well, I'll go down to the next patient"? Do you think that's an option? No, they gotta fix it. How about in finance or accounting where you're given a spreadsheet and the numbers don't look quite right? Should you just throw up your hands and say, those are the numbers? Or do you dig in and figure out why they are as they are? Maybe there's a mistake somewhere. That requires logical thinking to see there's an error, and it requires tenacity to dig in there and figure out why. In my old profession of software development, tenacity and logical thinking are core. You cannot be a good software developer if you don't have both. You know, a lot of junior high and high school programming courses and even college courses and a lot of online courses, and there's a lot of books out there too. They focus on the logical thinking part, but that's not what makes a good software developer. It's tenacity. When you're tasked with fixing a bug in a multi-million line piece of software that spans lots of languages, servers, even time zones, and you gotta fix that darn thing, giving up isn't an option. You get your coffee and you sit down and take as long as you need, poke the bear as much as you can, and you find what's causing the bug. After that, you can debate about how to fix it, but you have to find the bug first. The bug's not gonna fix itself, and that requires a whole boatload of tenacity. I'd argue tenacity is important in pretty much any career, at least where you're expected to do things and follow through on things. Now, some of you may be unconvinced. You may be thinking, "Hey, Dad who knows things, you're wrong. I don't want to have one of those STEM field careers. I want to do something else." Cool. That's fine. I'm okay with that. And that leads me to rule number 4. Why in the world would you handicap yourself? When you were 5 years old, what did you want to be? I don't know, a teacher, police officer, fireman, a nurse. That's cool. Those are all cool professions. What'd you want to do when you were 12? How about 18? As you notice, they've probably changed over the years. I mean, you may have wanted to be a police officer when you're 5, but it's doubtful you want to still be a police officer when you're 18. I mean, unless you're a police officer, you probably wanted to be a police officer your whole life, and that's cool. I have no problem with that. Matter of fact, you're probably a pretty good cop if you wanted to be that, and you're not one of those cops you see on the news. Unless it's a good kind of story. I like cops. I ever mentioned that for the most part? I've never had an issue. Well, I did have an issue with one cop one time. Back on track here. You don't want to handicap yourself, right? You don't necessarily know what you're going to want to be. Matter of fact, when you go off to college, most college students change their major at some point. Even college students don't know what they want to be. If math is vital to so many different disciplines, why handicap yourself? Let's put it this way. Suppose you're in high school and you take 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 years of history, 4 years of science, 1 or more, maybe 3 or 4 business classes, arts classes like band or orchestra or painting or something else all that time, a few other electives, right? When you get to college, you get to try out all kinds of things and figure out what you really want to do because you're ready for anything. You could be an English major, you could be a math major, you could go into business, you could become an artist, you can do anything you want. The world is your oyster. Because you have a well-rounded high school education, you're ready for anything. On the other hand, let's say you figured out what you want to be very early on. Let's say you want to be a lawyer. And you're in high school and you say, you know what, I'm going to be a lawyer when I grow up, so I don't need all that math and science and business. I'm going to focus more on history and English because those are the courses that really would make good lawyers. And I agree with that. So you get to college and let's say you continue to still want to be a lawyer. That's cool. But let's say you realize that being a lawyer requires lots of long hours and low pay for quite a while actually, until you finally make partner, in which case you get a big pay bump, but then there comes with a whole lot of stress, even more than before. And so now you have this stressful, overworked life for making the kind of money you want to make. Do you really want that? You know, some people enjoy that. Some people, that's what they want. But others, when they get to college, would realize, oh wait, that's what the profession's about? What are some professions I can go into that I can make a good living off of 40 hours a week and actually enjoy what I do? Oh wait, those are in the STEM fields? Shit. Then you're kind of screwed, huh? You could still pull it off, but it's an uphill battle if you did the bare minimum in high school when it came to math and science. Let's go back and say you really did want to be a lawyer. Is it really that bad to study math? Logical thinking kind of comes into making good arguments, right? Tenacity is pretty good for building a case, right? Aren't law firms businesses? Some business courses would probably be pretty good too. Aren't there law firms that specialize in things like medical malpractice and oil spills and pollution and asbestos exposure? My point is, a good science background is probably a pretty good thing for being a good lawyer too. My point is, it's wise to round out your educational background in college and that way you be a better lawyer, for example, or whatever profession you want to go into. But it also serves as a good fallback plan in case you decide later on, no, I don't want to be that thing. The same goes for taking history in high school for all you math geeks out there. Suppose you didn't want to be a math or engineering person. It's good to have that history background. Maybe it's good to have that AP American history and such under your belt, huh? Maybe you switch over to that side. I'm just saying it's a good thing to have a well-rounded education in high school. Hopefully now you're convinced that studying math helps give you tools that help you out no matter what you want to do in life. But if you're still not convinced, I have some beautiful oceanfront property in Arizona I can sell you real cheap. As always, I hope this helps and thanks for watching. Cheers!